Now you always hear about me talking about mock scrapes, and I love mock scrapes for a lot of different reasons. And you know, here we're at one of our latest mock scrapes. We've had some awesome bucks hitting this scrape early in the summer here, and of course we have another video of how we're going to keep those bucks on this new property going into the fall. A lot of times bucks that are here today are not here to stay, unlike does, and so they take off and they're going to their fall habitat, and we're going to do our best to make this our fall habitat, and we're doing a lot of steps for that. But these mock scrapes are awesome for a lot of different reasons, but I wanted to talk about what it's turned into throughout the years, and what's something we've noticed that you can take advantage of, and it's really important. And it's just an awesome bow hunting tip. You know, bow hunting is at my core. That's what I first whitetail hunted in 1986 with my brother. We were 15, 13, 16, 14, somewhere around there. And those are our first bow hunting days. And boy, we had a lot to learn, and still that's what's cool about all of this. It's always a learning process, but I always go back to my bow hunting roots. Opening day gun season in Wisconsin last year was another opening day that I sat with my bow. It's not that I don't mind shooting with a muzzleloader or a gun, it's just that if I'm up close and personal and a buck comes through at 25 yards, I want to shoot him with my bow, or try to shoot him with my bow. The failure rate's higher with a bow. It's just more of a challenge in some ways once you get to that and have to make the shot. I've talked a lot recently about spooking deer from the tree stand. For one, when you're standing up, you're always going to shoot more, or spook more deer. When you're standing up, it's easier to go like this, more body movement. But bottom line, if a deer spots you, the standing figure of a man has got to be the worst figure in their entire world. That's got to rock their world. That's got to spook them so bad. Compared to something sitting down, you know, when we're walking through the woods, we spook deer. We're standing up. We're in an upright position. We're in an upright position when we're getting to a stand. When we're in a stand, we're spooking them. A lot of times, deer are being spooked from hunters in an upright position, so sitting down and making that shot. It's been many years since I've actually spooked a deer while I've been on stand, and it's because I sit tight and I hunt with my ears. And sitting tight, I have a huge window I can shoot, and if I have to, he's behind me and I have to take a shot, then I can use a tree, I can stand up and shoot behind me. So really, when you're in a fixed position tree stand, you can shoot 270 degrees just like that. The buck I had to shoot last year, I had to turn slowly to my right on my seat while he was closing the distance from 15 to 10 yards and make that shot. I couldn't have done that in just about any other stand or type of stand. When a deer comes in, you can't afford to spook them, and this is why the mock scrape and not spooking deer have come together throughout the years to really be an incredible and an awesome bow hunting tip. Because when that buck comes in here, then he's going to focus on this mock scrape and he's not going to focus on you. That happens all the time. And so what I'm doing here on a new property, and this is another tip and scouting tip that we're going to talk about and create a video for today. But I'm looking at areas where, for example, here, there's a point that goes out away from this position. It's an incredible bedding point. We have food plots about 100 yards that way, extending for several hundred yards, little plots, a couple big plots mixed in. So these back points I can get to from coming in through the bottom from our home and coming up to the back of those points, incredible morning stands. So I put a scrape like this, a mock scrape, not only because I want to either hunt out of that tree that's right over there. We have an ancient old popple. I'm not sure I want to sit in it, but might be a good spot for one of the family tradition ladder stands. Or we have what I think is a red oak right over here. I have to go look at it a little bit closer. So I have a couple different options for tree stand locations right in this spot. And the cool thing is I can hunt here, come in here, post daybreak entrance through the fields, get into a spot like this. I can blow my scent right off the side of the draw on this side, and I can have a scent-free sit. But most importantly, if a big buck comes on this trail, or this trail, then they're all coming right to this location. They're focused on that mock scrape, and they're not focused on me no matter what tree I'm sitting in. You know, looking back, it's probably why I've been using mock scrapes for a long time, but it's probably why in water holes work in the same manner, but mock scrapes are used 365 days a year. Water holes aren't necessarily. And so it's probably why I don't spook a lot of deer, because they're focused on these mock scrapes, especially lately. I get away with sitting in a lot of bad trees, skinny trees. But again, if they're coming in and they're looking somewhere else, which they should be, whether it's a travel corridor they're on, a mock scrape, a water hole, a distant food source, a distant bedding area, following a bench, contour the land. When they're doing that and they're just passing by, you're not going to spook them that often. And this is one more way to keep from spooking them, is having a mock scrape. And this is why it's so important. You have one licking branch. A lot of people try to invent the wheel and reinvent the wheel, and they'll put multiple licking branches in a spot. You want one branch to soak up all that preorbital gland scent. You want one. You don't want to scatter that. And for that matter, I don't want a big scrape over there or a big scrape over there where bucks are paying attention to. I want to cut those down within bow shot, and I want to put this here, and then this mock scrape has to be within bow shot. I encourage one mock scrape per bow stand at the most. There might be that little inside corner food plot location that's leading to a stand location. Maybe you can't hunt, but that's the rare exception. But I want one mock scrape per bow stand. It sets a higher priority on these. I don't want a cable going across trees and a whole bunch of them, a whole bunch of licking branches. You want one. It's very powerful, and you can see Kermit, the buck that, just a giant buck. He's a monster. We have him on 3 different cameras. We have him on 2 different mock scrapes within just a short period of time when we put these out. So we know he's comfortable in this area, and we know he's around here. We want to keep him, but especially if Kermit comes in, he's in front of one of our stands, we want to be able to get a shot. Now, camera locations. What we're noticing over the last several years of extensively using mock scrapes as our focal points for cameras is if we have not had a camera on a mock scrape, just on a trail crossing, we notice those older bucks picking out the cameras at a lot higher percentage. And why? It's just like when you're bow hunting. There's no focal point when they come in. And it's the same with the camera. They have that mock scrape to focus on. They're paying their attention to this, and they're not looking at that camera right over there. And of course, that camera, it follows the rules. Their profile's hidden by all the garbage on this side of it over here on its left side. It's on a tree that's wider than the camera. We're using low glow Exodus trail cameras, 5-year warranty, incredible camera, no sound, no scent. And then really important, it's 6 to 7 feet high. So it's over that deer's line of sight. It's hidden from the side and from the front. Doesn't have the red glow lenses on it. And folks, when you're using rubber gloves to change your cards, and you're worrying about spraying down and not touching, we touch this stuff all the time. The scent stays on that slightly rubber coated container for just such a short period of time. We never have problems. We don't have deer coming up and licking it, doing anything. I think sometimes when people are using a bunch of scent and then they go touch the camera, now the deer are curious what that scent is. So again, we're using this a lot of times because we just want really good footage. We want that Kermit buck to come in here and work this scrape like he owned it, like he did. First video, we think we had him. We might have had him when he was younger, or younger when he was more early in the velvet growing phase. But bottom line is, we're finding when they focus on this, they're not noticing your camera, and especially they're not noticing when you're in your tree stand. And it is so critical. If you're spooking 1 or 2 deer a year out of your tree stand because you're moving around, that's too many. It can be greatly avoided. And this is one way to do so, even, and that takes a lot of experience. I go back to when we were talking about hunting when I was 16, that was 1986. So that's a little while ago. I think this will be my 35th, 36th season, somewhere around there of bow hunting. And so you learn a lot over the years. You learn how to be patient. You learn what you can get away with in the stand. I'm very, very picky about what kind of tree stands I use. I want to make sure that I don't move, don't spook deer. But bottom line, if you're using something like this, you're inexperienced, you're a beginner, you haven't hunted that many years for bow, you don't know what you can get away with in the stand, because that takes a lot of messing up to know. That's what's awesome. We learn by our mistakes. And so I'm hoping you learn by my mistakes. But even if you're a beginner, this is a great way to seal the deal when a monster buck comes in this fall, and to make sure you're not spooking him, because he's not focused on you, he's focused on this.